give them great detail, make it defined. That's what those trimmers do. So as I was saying, if you had clippers, some people out there listening know what I'm talking about, where you adjust the clipper so that you kind of edge the clippers so you can line with the clippers.
So you got to use the clippers first and then use the trimmers.
Yes, correct. Now, if you are someone who were a little either less fortunate at the moment, like I said, you could take that clipper and modify it.
Okay, so you don't necessarily need the trimmers. You can use... So can you do your edge up and, do the fade and everything? You can do all that with just the clippers. Do you necessarily need the trimmers?
The trimmers are what you need to create those wonderful, definitive, crisp lines. Now, the people that are less fortunate use the clippers to take down the hair, tweak them, and adjust them so that you can create a line as well.
Okay.
Yes. So, in saying all of that, as I said, it sparks something. You have to take sometimes the lesser of things, or the things where you could value the fact that you have a pair of clippers that someone gave you, and that hunger in you will allow you to adjust a pair of clippers to create a line until you're able to afford a pair of trimmers of your own.
Okay.
That's that hunger.
Is it, now you say it to adjust. I hear you saying adjust the clippers. Mm-hmm. Now, do you necessarily have to go to barber school to know where exactly how to adjust the clippers? Because, for those who are less fortunate, as we're discussing, can't afford to go to barber school and who want to cut their own hair and are learning, how would you describe how to adjust, or to know how to adjust the clippers in a way that they can do a fade or without trimmers?
It's just basically looking at the clippers itself. It has where the top blade is, there are screws. Mm-hmm. And like I said, you have clippers where you can adjust the swing arm, and you can adjust the top plate. Mm-hmm. So that when you close the actual swing arm all the way, push it all the way back, and then you adjust the top blade so where it meets almost to this, I want to say almost where the two teeth touch the blades tips, you can create the same effect as a pair of trimmers, because trimmers is just that one top blade, and it has little teeth that can either be spaced out or close together, and there's one blade that moves at a constant speed. And that is how you create those definitive, crisp lines. With the
It's
trimmers.
Interesting that you say speed. So is there levels of levels of, as far as, when you cut your hair, I hear in the barbershop when they say, cut my hair at a level 1 or level 2. What exactly can you tell our listeners about these levels and where, exactly they need to be to get a fade? Like, how would you know what level to be at on the clippers?
Well, the blades, like I said, some clippers that are magnetic, the blades have numbers on them, and those numbers give you like 1/16, 1/32. Basically, those blades give you they break down the different inches of the hair. Now, what the metal blades that you could place on a magnetic clipper, and you put it on there and it slaps right on, going with the grain. So if you follow the head from the crown of the head down, that's going with the grain. Mm-hmm. Now, if you take the clipper and go from the forehead back to the top of the crown, that is against the grain. Mm-hmm. you're taking hair down. So basically going with the grain, you're cleaning up. Going against the grain, you are taking hair down. You're decreasing. And also in doing that, the actual different blades, like as I explained before, have different inches.
Okay.
So when someone says a 1 or...
What exactly does that mean?
When they say 1, all clippers aren't the same. So you'll definitely have to explain to your client, listen, a 1 in this type of blade might not be the 1 for this type of blade. And so
okay, so it can be different.
Yes. And different variances, different brands, and they all do different things. So you just have to make sure that when you have a client consult at that, before you start anything, you want to make sure that you have clarity as to what your client wants.
Okay. Is there a particular type of brand that you would recommend as far as if someone wanted to purchase clippers to do their own hair? Someone starting up, like our teenage young men that, that are practicing cutting their own hair. Would you recommend, what kind of starter kit would you recommend for our young men starting out?
Well, with anything in life, if you go out and buy that teenager that you're speaking of, or that person that feels that they have that spark is in me, if you want to go out and buy this person the top of the line clipper, then you can look at that as an investment, or at the same time, would you look at it as a situation where you're going to waste money? Well, some people start things and then they don't finish, or they come back to it. So if you just want to buy them a starter kit, where they can say, you can go and grab them a Walmart brand of clippers.
Oh, okay.
And then get them a nice pair of trimmers. Now the trimmers, you should get a nice pair of trimmers. You don't want to get a pair.
Are trimmers, sorry to cut you off, Ronald. Are trimmers, can those be used to cut beards as well? Or
yes.
What exactly is the role of the trimmers again? Can you specify that?
Like I said, the clippers and the trimmers can be used universally to a point. Now the trimmers are used to create lines, and also they can shape your beard. So you can line your beard up and shape the beard. However, if you want to fade, you would need the clipper. Mm-hmm. So the clipper is going to do the fade work. The trimmer is going to clean things up, line things up. So it's like they go hand in hand.
Oh, okay. So you kind of need both of them then.
You do.
Kind of simultaneously. You need both.
Correct.
But if you only had the one, you could still do that job with the clippers. Correct. If you didn't have the trimmers, is what you're saying.
Correct.
But it's more effective if you kind of use both.
Correct.
Especially if you're one that has a beard, like you.
Correct.
that has a beard, you probably need kind of both. So can you do a beard with clippers, or do you necessarily you have to use the trimmers if you have a beard?
Now, if you just wanted to clean yourself up and you're not worrying about how crisp your lines are, you could use a clipper and just clean up a fade. So like, say you got a haircut on Friday, you got a nice shape up on Friday, and say by Wednesday of the following week you just cleaned up, you could do that. But if you're someone that has that passion and to say, this is what I want to do, it would behoove you to have both the clipper and the trimmer.
Okay.
Because that passion is what's going to drive you. And also, not to get away from a question you asked me earlier, I do think you asked about the cosmetology side of things.
I did,
Yes, you did.
And I would love to get into that. And as far as now, did that kind of come hand in hand with?
Well, as I said before, as a small child, that built a spark in me to want to be a barber. At the same time, a barbershop is a place, a barbershop and salon It's a place where people meet and they can converse and have different conversation about like-minded things. Things, you know, when you go to your barber or your cosmetologist, that is your therapist at that moment. You're going to share things with this person because you feel close to this person, and they're taking care of you.
Right.
Those two energies, they're going to meet. You need a service, I provide a service, and also I can give you some feedback on some things that you may inquire, be inquisitive on, so on and so forth. Let me know the news of the family. Maybe you're a friend of the family. Maybe you're a relative. You share information. You talk to each other. But going back to the cause thing, I knew that one day I would like to have a building of my own or a shop of my own. So I thought to myself, well, why don't I go to school and learn cosmetology first? That way I can learn all of the relaxers, your jerry curls, your all of these different things that require chemicals, color, learn to cut, so you can get a basic baseline of how to do these things. And if I wanted to expand or expound on these things, I could then go ahead and do that.
Was it hard for you to learn how to do that? Because it sounds like a lot of different products and chemicals and, just that alone seems very tedious to learn. Was it difficult to learn and to pick up, because perms. Perms and, just the dyes and, just the different chemicals. I'm just listening to you, speak, and I'm like thinking to myself, like, wow, that's a lot of products to have to learn in school.
Well, once you sign up for school and you enroll and you're sitting in the class, you have class time. Mm-hmm. So you have class time, then you have floor time. So basically, you're given assignments when you're in class, and they say, "Hey, you need to learn this," and you're being tested. You're learning things like virgin relaxer versus just a touch up. What do you need to do for a jerry curl, or people may call it wave nouveau later on in life. And color, and you're being tested on things that you're learning in class time before you can even touch someone's head. And there's always an instructor there that will help you along the way to make sure you get this. And then you also, not even just that, you have times when you're on the floor where you have a mannequin and you practice on your mannequin, and then an instructor is coming by to check and say, "Oh, okay, that's great. That's not so great. You need to change this. Oh, try that. Hold this at this angle." Mm-hmm. All types
of things. So was that very effective?
Yes.
In the learning process?
Yes.
And how long was the actual school? I mean, as far as the hands-on versus the classwork.
Well, you were in school clock hours for a year and a half.
Wow.
So it was a year and a half time frame for me to attend the cosmetology portion.
Oh, and that was just the cosmetology portion. That had nothing to do with the
Correct.
Barber portion.
Correct.
Okay, so how long was the barber portion?
The fact that I actually attended the school for cosmetology, I didn't have to go to school as long to become a barber, because the things that we were being taught were going to be redundant, repetitive, remedial. So I didn't have to do that. So I just had to complete the semester hours for the floor time, because I'd already completed everything for the cosmetology side of the house. Okay.
You mentioned the mannequins. That's interesting. I was sitting here thinking, oh, well, you did, how long did you have to work on these mannequins? And, I mean, were they like kind of lined up? You had to do, practice on doing straight hair and then curly hair and then practice dyed hair? What exactly was done with the mannequins?
So let's take it here. When you sign up for the school,